A new executive framework from the Trump administration has just been unveiled, and it explicitly targets the Caribbean. Dubbed the Caribbean Basin Travel and Security Order, it imposes severe new restrictions on 10 specific nations, marking the most aggressive immigration crackdown on the region in modern history. Here are the 10 Caribbean countries affected: Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, the Bahamas, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Guyana, Barbados, St. Lucia, Antigua and Barbuda, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The recent changes to U.S. visa renewal policies have sent shockwaves through communities across the Caribbean and beyond. While some may have initially feared a total shutdown of travel, it's important to clarify that the new rules do not amount to a blanket prohibition on all visa activity. Instead, what's been implemented is a complex, multi-layered system of restrictions and requirements, each designed to significantly reduce the number of people able to travel to the United States from certain countries. These changes are not just bureaucratic tweaks, they represent a fundamental shift in how the U.S. is managing its borders and who it allows to enter, even for short visits. For many Caribbean families, students, and business travelers, the new system has introduced a host of new hurdles. Previously, those who had already been granted a B1, B2 tourist or business visa could often renew their visas by mail, a process that was relatively straightforward and spared applicants the time and expense of traveling to a U.S. embassy or consulate. Now, that convenience is gone. The new policy suspends all B1, B2 visa renewals by mail for applicants from the affected nations, meaning that every single person seeking to renew their visa must now appear in person for an interview, regardless of how many times they've traveled to the U.S. before or how clean their record may be. This change has far-reaching consequences. The in-person interview requirement is not just a formality, it's a significant barrier for many. Applicants must now schedule appointments, often months in advance, and travel, sometimes hundreds of miles, to the nearest U.S. embassy or consulate. For those living on smaller islands or in rural areas, this can mean expensive flights, overnight stays, and time away from work or family. The paperwork is more extensive, the scrutiny is higher, and the process is slower. Even those who have visited the U.S. multiple times without incident are now subject to the same rigorous screening as first-time applicants. Every applicant from these nations must now undergo a new, in-person interview for every renewal, regardless of their previous history or the reason for their travel. This means that even elderly grandparents hoping to visit family, business owners attending conferences, or students returning to school breaks must all face the same lengthy process. The embassies, already stretched thin, are now seeing a surge in demand for appointments, leading to long lines outside embassy gates and crowded waiting rooms inside. Consular officers are tasked with conducting more interviews than ever before, increasing wait times and adding to the stress and uncertainty for applicants. The result is a growing backlog that experts predict could last for years. Families are being separated for longer periods, business opportunities are being missed, and the simple act of visiting loved ones in the U.S. has become a daunting ordeal. For many, the dream of travel now feels out of reach, as the new visa renewal process creates obstacles that are difficult, if not impossible, for some to overcome. The next major provision of the policy is the introduction of a regional visa cap, a measure that fundamentally changes how people from certain countries can access opportunities in the United States. This cap is not just a minor adjustment to existing immigration policy. It represents a significant tightening of the rules, with far-reaching consequences for thousands of individuals and families each year. The regional visa cap specifically targets 10 countries, most of which are located in the Caribbean, and sets a strict, low numerical limit on the total number of visas that can be issued to citizens of these nations annually. This means that, regardless of how many qualified applicants there are, only a predetermined, relatively small number will be allowed to receive visas each year. To put this into perspective, imagine a scenario where thousands of hopeful applicants from these 10 countries prepare their paperwork, gather their documents, and attend interviews, all in the hopes of being granted a visa to visit, study, work, or reunite with family in the United States. However, because of the regional visa cap, only a fraction of these individuals will actually be approved. The rest, no matter how strong their applications or compelling their personal stories, will be turned away, not because they failed to meet the requirements, but simply because the quota has already been filled for the year. This system guarantees that most applicants will be denied due to the quota, not their personal qualifications or merits. The impact of this policy is profound. For many families, it means years of separation, as loved ones are forced to wait for another chance in the next application cycle. For students and professionals, it can mean missed opportunities, scholarships that expire, job offers that are rescinded, or research projects that are abandoned. The emotional toll is significant, as applicants invest time, money, and hope into a process that, for most, will end in disappointment. Embassies and consulates in these countries are often filled with anxious faces, as people wait to hear whether they will be among the lucky few to receive a visa or if they will have to try again next year with no guarantee of success. But the policy does not stop at numerical restrictions. In addition to the regional visa cap, the new rules introduce a requirement for enhanced ideological screening. This is a significant departure from previous visa application processes, which typically focused on verifying identity, financial stability, and intent to return home. Now, applicants from these 10 countries will face a new section of the visa application that delves deeply into their personal beliefs and affiliations. This enhanced screening is designed to assess not just who the applicants are, but what they think and believe. The new ideological screening section requires applicants to answer a series of detailed and probing questions about their political beliefs, their opinions on U.S. foreign policy, and any organizations or groups with which they are affiliated. These questions go far beyond the standard background checks and security screenings that have long been a part of the visa process. Instead, they seek to uncover the applicant's worldview, their attitudes toward the United States, and their involvement in any political or social movements. For many, this can feel intrusive and intimidating, as they are asked to disclose personal convictions and associations that they may have never discussed outside their own communities. During the visa interview, consular officials are now instructed to pay close attention to the answers given in this new section. They may ask follow-up questions, request additional documentation, or even conduct background checks on organizations mentioned by the applicant. The goal, according to the policy's architects, is to ensure that only those who align with certain values and pose no ideological threat to the United States are granted entry. However, critics argue that this approach risks unfairly targeting individuals based on their beliefs, rather than their actions, and could lead to discrimination against those who hold dissenting or unpopular views. For applicants, the process is now more daunting than ever, as they must not only prove their eligibility on paper, but also navigate a complex web of ideological scrutiny. The combination of strict numerical limits and enhanced ideological screening creates a formidable barrier for those seeking to come to the United States from these 10 countries, fundamentally altering the landscape of U.S. immigration policy and raising important questions about fairness, freedom of thought, and the true purpose of the visa system. Fourth, it eliminates visa-free transit, or C1, through U.S. airports for citizens of these countries, forcing a costly and lengthy visa application just for a connecting flight. The administration's stated reason for implementing these new travel restrictions centers on concerns about overstay rates and what they describe as insufficient security cooperation from certain countries. According to official statements, the government believes that by tightening entry requirements, they can better manage who enters the United States and ensure that visitors comply with the terms of their visas. This rationale is not new. Similar arguments have been used in the past to justify changes in immigration policy, especially when it comes to countries with higher rates of visa overstays or where the U.S. has limited ability to verify travelers' backgrounds. However, the current measures are notable for their scope and the specific focus on the Caribbean region, which has raised questions and concerns among affected communities, advocacy groups, and policy experts. While the official explanation emphasizes security and compliance, many observers point out that the scope and specificity of these new restrictions suggest a broader political and demographic strategy at play. The decision to target a group of countries with deep historical, cultural, and economic ties to the United States has led some to speculate that the policy is also influenced by domestic political considerations, including debates over immigration reform, border security, and shifting demographics. Lawmakers and analysts have noted that such policies can have far-reaching consequences, not only for the individuals and families directly affected, but also for the broader relationship between the United States and its Caribbean neighbors. The move has sparked debate in Congress and among advocacy organizations, with some arguing that it could undermine trust and cooperation on issues ranging from trade to disaster response. At its core, this policy appears to be aimed at reshaping the flow of immigration from the entire Caribbean region. By imposing stricter requirements and increasing scrutiny on travelers from these countries, the administration is signaling a shift in how it views migration from the Caribbean, not just as a matter of individual compliance, but as a broader issue of national policy. This has significant implications for the millions of people who have family, business, or cultural ties across borders. For many, travel between the Caribbean and the United States is a vital part of life, whether for work, education, or visiting loved ones. The new restrictions could disrupt these connections, making it more difficult for people to maintain relationships, pursue opportunities, or respond to emergencies. To truly understand the full impact of this targeted travel ban, it's important to look beyond the headlines and official statements. The effects are already being felt by travelers who face longer wait times, more intensive interviews, and additional documentation requirements. Families are finding it harder to reunite for important events. Students are facing uncertainty about their educational plans, and businesses that rely on cross-border travel are grappling with new logistical challenges. At the same time, U.S. embassies and consulates in the Caribbean are experiencing increased demand for information and assistance as people try to navigate the evolving rules and requirements. The emotional toll is significant as well, with many expressing anxiety and frustration about the lack of clarity and the potential for sudden changes. Navigating this new reality requires vigilance, preparation, and access to reliable information. If you or your loved ones are planning to travel to the United States from the Caribbean, it's more important than ever to stay informed about the latest developments. This means regularly checking official government websites for updates, consulting with embassy officials, and making sure all your documents are in order before you travel. It's also wise to seek advice from trusted sources, such as immigration attorneys or community organizations, who can help you understand your rights and responsibilities under the new rules. Remember, the situation is evolving, and what's true today may change tomorrow as new policies are announced or existing ones are revised. In times like these, having access to the most current and accurate information is absolutely essential. News about travel restrictions, visa requirements, and policy changes can break at any moment, and being caught off guard can have serious consequences. That's why we are committed to providing you with timely updates, in-depth analysis, and practical advice to help you make informed decisions. Whether you're a frequent traveler, a student, a business owner, or someone with family ties in the Caribbean, staying up to date can make all the difference in ensuring a smooth and successful journey. To make sure you never miss out on critical updates, guides, and expert insights, we encourage you to hit that subscribe button right now. By subscribing, you'll be the first to know about any changes to travel policies, new government announcements, and tips for navigating the complex world of international travel. Our channel is dedicated to keeping you informed and empowered, so you can plan with confidence and avoid unnecessary stress or setbacks. And don't forget to ring the notification bell. This simple step ensures that you receive instant alerts whenever we publish a new video or update. With so much uncertainty and rapid change in today's world, having real-time information delivered straight to your device can be a game changer. You'll never have to worry about missing an important announcement or scrambling to catch up on the latest news. Thank you for watching and trusting us to be your source for essential guides and updates. We're here to help you navigate these challenging times with clarity and confidence. Stay tuned for more in-depth coverage, expert interviews, and practical tips to help you and your loved ones stay informed and prepared, no matter what changes may come.